Hello and welcome back to RageGamingVideos. My name is Hollow and I am back for yet another underrated weapons video. Because there are so many weapons in Elden Ring, there are many that are meta and there are many that are terrible and there are many that are maybe good but a little underused. And we're back to talk about more thanks to the patch, buffing up certain weapons, certain Ashes of War, and now things are a little bit different. Some of these are ludicrously strong, some of these are just cool, and are great options ultimately in PvE and PvP where we're going to talk about them. So welcome back and let's jump in. We begin with this pair of absolute nightmare weapons. These are the Vulgar Militia saws, and of course I have them in bleed and I have seppuku on them. Yes, I'm wearing the white mask, and yes, I'm wearing the Lord of Blood's exaltation. To cut to the chase, these things are ridiculous. Just like any duo power stance weapon that can run bleed affinity well, and of course get that arcane scaling, and of course run not one but two seppukus at once, 773 AR while buffed up with those to absolutely dumpster enemies. A duo set like this at nearly 800 AR with bleed of, yes, over 100. It's 134, and then we can go ahead and make that more by, you know, running seppuku. And we're at the point where bleed buildup is just ludicrous. In PvP, I don't have to say much about it, man. Like, you're getting these bleed procs basically every second hit consistently. That damage is going to be just insane. When you actually activate seppuku when you're running white mask and of course Lord of Blood's exaltation talisman, you're going to get that attack boost as well. So the power of these weapons is unquestionable. Yes, bleed was nerfed in 1.04 slightly. They made it so the stagger time is slightly reduced, but that means nothing. You know, in PvP that stagger stun time was silly but not necessary or important at all. These weapons still do a lot of damage and they still do insane burst when you get the bleed proc, which again you build stupid quick. You'll also see me running the sword dance Ash of War instead of two seppukus. That's generally because, well, two is a bit overkill. Yeah, if you can get it off, you should. It's crazy. But people actually interrupt me when I'm doing two seppuku in the duels, and I completely understand why. I mean, they should. It's broken. It's stupid. And, I mean, it says everything that the moment people see that, they try to interrupt you because they know they're dead if they get hit by it. So running something like the sword dance is crazy for roll catching, trading, and then obviously it's still causing the bleed buildup. Just having one seppuku on one weapon and then attacking with both is more than enough. And that applies for PvE as well. Naturally, running seppuku is better, but this is a great option. If you're dealing with an enemy that is bleed immune, there are some in the game, the boss that can't be bled, well then you just go keen, run dex, and then run sword dance, and just enjoy that instead of running two seppuku. So yeah, these weapons are incredibly powerful. They are versatile. They are strong as hell. Their moveset is wonderful. The running L1 is slow, so it's actually a great roll catcher. And they've got great range because they're long weapons. I love this moveset for trading and the range at which they can deal that damage. And you can get them very early in the game as well. They are a weapon drop from the enemies here, the Militia. So we come to the Farum Great Bridge or the northeastern point of Caelid. We can fast teleport there by going to the Third Church of Marika to the portal there, and that brings you to this area. And then all over this area on this hill, there are absolutely tons of these little Militia enemies. They look like that. They're a bit dangerous because yes, they have high damage and dangerous beast arts, but ultimately they are also very squishy and have no poise, so you can kill them easily and farm them out and get these weapon drops. Up next then, a personal one for me because I really underrated these weapons. For a while people were saying in the underrated series like Magma Blade, dude, it's good. And I don't know what it was about it. I just thought the Ash of War, perhaps, you know, putting the lava down, it just doesn't create enough of a field and it's not relevant in PvP. But my god, was I wrong. And it's not even really about the magma in PvP. The actual Ash of War, this, spins you and does a damage. That is incredible for trading. If you trade into them and then spread that magma, they take the hit and the ticks of the magma and it actually racks up damage pretty quick, especially if you're buffed. These are, of course, the Magma Blades. Maxed out, we have C on Faith and Strength scaling with a bit of Dex at D, but it's the fact that it's physical and fire together. So you have the amazing ability to take the AR, which is honestly respectable at 643, buff it with Flame Grant Me Strength, which is honestly your duty to buff when you have this opportunity, when you have a fire and physical weapon, and then you buff up with, say, Wondrous Physic that has the fire enhancer as part of it. We're up to 829 on two very fast hitting weapons that can then do this really long combo into the Ash of War, which has a 2-hit version and drops the lava. You can get staggering damage. In PvE against bosses, you're just chipping out health like that. You're chunking out health. The lava itself, when it's on the ground, I don't know, it does reasonable damage, but the spin, I'm telling you, that that attack, when you use it in combo with the basic combo, it really does a lot of damage. And then it can also stagger, so you can get a critical off that. What can I say? They really remind me of the Wing of Estelle's when you're using two of those, like the magic curved swords in unison in power stance. Same thing here, but fire. And it feels and honestly looks really good. So I've thoroughly enjoyed using these in PvE, but in PvP, my god, I love these. I love them. The combo of the L1 is so good. And then you've obviously got the two curved swords with power stance. That running L1 is one of the best roll catches in the game. And then you've got these super fast combos, especially when you're buffed up, you are blasting damage. But that Ash of War is so good for trading. Like I say, you combo into it, you trade with it, you do some damage on the initial hit, maybe the second hit, and then you just drop all this lava everywhere that hurts them if they stand in it, but also creates a safe zone for you. I underrated these for a long time, and I found them incredibly fun to use, so I'm glad that I finally tried them. To get the Magma Blade or two, you're going to need to come here to the Volcano Manor. I'm standing in the Temple of Igle. So once we've done that, we take a left and come around here to the left, and there's going to be an elevator that you can activate on the other side. At the top, we take a right, and then we have our first mob that is holding the Magma Blade. This guy right here, you kill him, he has a chance to drop the weapon. And then straight ahead of us here, just beyond those guys, you have the second mob that's wearing that Magma Blade. So you kill those two, reset the grace, run it to get a drop on multiple, and there you go. This next one's an exciting one for me. These two daggers are the Black Knives. These have the Blade of Death, Ash of War, and lore-wise, these are the daggers used to assassinate Godwyn the Golden and set off the many events of the game as we know it. They are imbued with the Rune of Death, meaning their Ash of War has Destined Death on it. When that hits a target, that is going to reduce its health by 10%, and thanks to the recent patch, that is now actually visually represented by this grey bar. So we've got 10% of whatever you hit with that, its health is reduced. It does a big burst of damage, and of course, it also has the damage over time. That dot is very powerful, the damage is very powerful, and the 10% is very powerful. In the patch, they made it so the Ash of War comes out quicker, so you can get it actually out quicker. Statistically, these are solid weapons. We have a B rating for your scaling on Dex, so we can get the best stats we can from this, from that, and we also have a C scaling on Faith. Baseline, that makes these very strong daggers. Over 500 AR on daggers is it's really good. And then, of course, we're doing a Faith build. So, Flame grant me strength. You got Golden Vow. There's holy damage on these weapons, so we can obviously get the benefit from the holy aspect of the Wondrous Physic. We go from that 519 to 716 on daggers. These attack ridiculously fast. So in PvE, you can burn through health. Once you've applied the dot and the 10% debuff, you can go to town on a target. So in PvE, the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia for the successive attack power boost, and the Millicent's Prosthesis, which gives you dex and, of course, more attack power for fast attacks, that works insanely well. In PvP, it wasn't as good pre-patch. The Ash of War was basically your only way to deal damage, and it came out fairly slowly. And then also, yeah, dagger range is terrible. Trading was a bit awkward. It wasn't nearly as good as it was in PvE compared to PvP. But with that patch, let me show you what I can do with these things. It feels incredible. That Ash of War, the pace at which it comes out now, is nuts. I'm able to actually catch people with it, which is wonderful. And the damage it does, the burst when it actually hits someone, is crazy. The dot is relevant. You can see the visual where they lose the 10% of their main health, and that really scares them. But my god, man, you can somehow, for some reason, actually land the hit even when they roll it. So they roll it, they even Bloodhound dash it, and it still hits them. You don't get the burst damage, you don't get the main damage of the Ash of War, but you get the 10% health reduction, and you get the dot, which means someone who's low, I can spam this Ash of War, they'll dodge it, they'll still take the dot, and as you can see, it kills people, and they don't know what to do. They're confused, while you're just like, nice, free dot. To get the main hit of the actual Ash of War, though, you can trade with it because it has hyper armor. So once you leap up into the air, once you're in the air, you have hyper armor. So it's very likely you're going to get that dot off. It makes it very threatening. So in trading, you get these hits off with the fast stabs. That does a lot of damage, catches people out. You pressure them at medium and long range with the Blade of Death, or you can trade with it at close range. It's hyper dangerous, super good damage. The debuff is nuts, the dot is powerful, and it catches people even when they roll it. So in PvP, this dagger is actually now very good. That buff did way more than I expected. In PvE, you're great, right? You're bursting through the successive attacks, you do a lot of damage when you're attacking, and the debuff, the dot, you spam the ranged attacks, feels great, looks great, works really well. So previously I would have said these were an underrated faith weapon and probably the best pick for a dagger. Now with the patch, I think these are a very good faith weapon, a strongly underrated pick, and one I will absolutely be playing with more because they're very fun to use. So I absolutely recommend them. To get your own Black Knife then, you're going to want to come here. This is the Altar's Plateau. I'm standing in front of the Sainted Hero's grave. The nearest grace to that is the Rampart side path, and just outside of this entrance will be a Black Knife just sitting there, and it's a mini boss fight. Once you defeat her, she'll drop the knife. Just like many weapons in this game, you can only get one per playthrough, which sucks, so you need to go into New Game Plus to kill her again and get a second one, or have a friend drop you one. For this next one, I am gonna keep it to the point. We're gonna be through this pretty quick. These are the Warped Axes, and of course we have them in heavy mode because we can change their affinity, which means we can put any Ash of War we want on these, meaning a versatile build. We don't care about that. What we care about is the fact that these are very low weight, S scaling strength weapons. For some reason, the community just hasn't been talking about these. The damage they do, the potential they have, the scaling is obviously nuts. This is comparable to like a mini Giant's Crusher, and we have a whole video recently about that from Josh talking about it and all the details of it. So that's why I'll keep it straightforward for this segment. Baseline, we have power stance weapons that are 667 AR, which is great because they're heavy hitting, slow hitting, and then we can buff them up in various ways. Just some examples, we have Flame Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow, the Ash of War. Obviously, there's other buffs we could consider. And yeah, we can get up to 900 damage on power stance weapons that are going to do big hits. And as you can see, they have that slower double hitting combo. It's going to do high damage, high posture damage. You're going to stagger your enemies. It feels and looks great. But it also has some unique stuff, like say the jumping L1. It has a slower double swing that catches people in PvP. We have the crouch L1. That's great for trading. There's the running L1. The first hit comes out quick, the second slow. So that's good for trading or roll catching. And it even has a unique R2, which is really cool. The first hit just being a normal hit, but the second being like a drag with these sparks, and then you do another hit on sort of an uppercut. It's really cool. Statistically then, they are very strong. You could run the crazy Ashes of War like the Sword Dance, or of course like I'm doing here, the Lion's Claw with the flip. You'll do stupid damage. They don't weigh much, so you can run both of them easily and do different builds. Like I've got a fairly heavy armor set on, and the damage you do is going to be nuts. Trading with these things is a bad idea. You're going to absolutely destroy your enemies if you get to do that. Combos come out slow, but if you have high poise, you can get those hits off, and that's obviously going to do big damage in PvP. And I found myself winning best when I was looking for roll catches using this moveset, and of course, trading effectively using the Ash of War or certain attacks, certain movesets from the weapons. It's nice to see some axes that are actually good in this game. In PvE, it's what you expect. You can play it however you want, run whatever setup you want. These are normal weapons. We can run whatever Ash of War. But yeah, you're going to clean through enemy health, and stagger is going to be big. I actually interrupted the Tree Guardian during his leap, which I was not expecting. These are heavy-hitting weapons, low weight, great stats, and definitely underrated and unaware, I guess, in general. These come from the omens in the sewers or tunnels under Lindell. At the first major bonfire, stepping out into the corridor, there are multiple omens with these axes. So you just kill them and then reset at the bonfire and then run it again until they drop. And that means you can get 2 in one playthrough easily. You don't need a friend to drop you one, or you don't need to go to New Game Plus like many weapons. So yeah, short and simple look at this one. These warped axes are pretty cool in design and very effective statistically and with their moveset. Definitely consider them if you're thinking about strength builds or you like axes. Last but not least then, we have an exciting one and a surprising one for me. I was checking this weapon out for a different video. For a video all about weapons that are too weak or don't work. Like they literally don't work as they're supposed to. Well, in the recent patch, this weapon saw some serious love. Not only do they make it work as intended, which is always nice, they've made this thing absolutely ridiculous. This is the Staff of the Avatar, the weapon of those Erd Tree avatars that you fight at the various lesser Erd Trees. This thing comes with its own unique, and you will recognize it, butt slam Ash of War, and it has A strength scaling, B faith scaling. Insanely good scaling right there, alongside the fact that it's a colossal weapon which saw buffs across the board. Now you get better block protection, now your attack speed is better and your recovery speed is better, which is absolutely vital for a slow weapon like this. That's huge. and they've increased the base damage on your two-hand swing, so it's great as a two-hand weapon. And that's not even reflected in the AR, which is insanely high, baseline 959. This is both a physical and holy weapon, so we can buff it up in various ways. Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and the Wondrous Physic for increasing your holy damage. We're two-handing it, we go from that 959 to 1,324 AR. And again, the new two-hand damage that they buffed, that's not represented here in the AR. So just baseline, the raw damage of this weapon is absolutely stupid. It's ridiculously high. So I take this into PvP and I find, okay, it's a slow hitting weapon, so I need to trade with this. I do have a couple of options though. The crouch R1 comes out quickly. There's the jumping R2 for the plunge slam, which is slow. You get people used to that. Then you do a jumping R1, that catches people out. So essentially what you're doing with this weapon is you've got super high AR, you want to trade. So you're trying to trick people, catch them out with different pacing, and ultimately trade and deal ridiculous damage so they're terrified of you. And yeah, I should also mention its unique Ash of War. So the Erd Tree Slam. Its description is jump up high into the air and crash down on the ground. The result is golden shockwaves in all directions, and this is the most powerful of the ground slam skills. We have that golden light, we have that gold slam, and now we have a nice big AoE around us, dealing damage. And as you can see in both PvE and PvP, this thing is awesome. It has hyper armor, so once you get it going, it is going to land. It can stagger bosses, leading to critical hits, and in PvP, it is a brilliant trading tool, whether you're comboing it from a basic combo into that slam, or they're going to clearly trade with you, so you just do the hyper armor slam and crunch them and just smash them. So while this is a straightforward and single-minded playstyle of colossal weapon, basic colossal moveset, and trading in PvP, it is extremely fun, and it's nice to see this weapon actually work as intended. It might actually challenge the Giant's Crusher for the highest AR strength weapon. So do not sleep on this thing. I also think it's got a really cool design, obviously with the roots and the tree design about it. And it's nice to actually slap enemies with this thing instead of being slapped by it. Yeah, a simple, straightforward, really powerful strength weapon. One that I absolutely recommend. So here's how to get it. To get yourself the Staff of Avatar, then you're going to want to come here to the Deep Root Depths. We are standing at the first grace, the Great Waterfall Crest. And just ahead of it, on your left, is going to be a roaming avatar on this hill, straight ahead of me right here. When you defeat that avatar, you get the weapon, and it really is as easy as that. But there you have it. Those are my 5 underrated weapons for the video. Let me know what you think. I'm really happy with the selection today. I think all of them have some serious power behind them for different reasoning. And if you have any other weapons you consider underrated by the community you think are good, drop it in the comments and maybe we can include it in a video. If you want to see more content like this on the channel though, please drop a like so we can keep making them. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.